Okay, day 7 is on inequalities. So, a go-kart has a maximum weight limit of 240 pounds, which inequality correctly represents this weight limit, W. So, if it's a maximum of 240 pounds, I know it can be 240 pounds. Can it be 241? No. Can it be 240.01? Also no. So the highest it can go is here. Can it be 239? Yes. Can it be 238? Can it be 239.99999? Yes. Can it be 240.000000001? No. So it has to be, let me get any weight from 240 that way. So the weight, and we can tell that the arrow is already pointing that way. So any number that's under 240 or even equal to 240 is permitted here. Okay. Look at the inequality below. Which of these best describes the solution? So let's solve this. Negative 2x less or equal to 6. We're going to divide by negative 2. We're going to divide this by negative 2. These become simplified to 1 positive, or just x. And on the other side, 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. So, but remember, when you divide by negative, there's something you have to do with your symbol here, which is aim it to the other side. So is there one that looks like negative 3? Oh, right here, a. X is greater than negative 3. And that makes sense because, let's prove this. Let's go back to the original inequality. So if we were to graph my solution here, I have to pick a number. So negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0. So negative 3 over here. I can shade and I can pick any number on this side of the world. So let's just pick one. Let's pick 0 because 0 is nice. So negative 2 times 0 less than 6. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. Is 0 less than 6? Yes, it is. So again, you can pick other values. Just do, see if you're correct. And you'll see that it has to be numbers on this side, on the right side of negative 3. Number 2, Miguel's scooter can travel at a maximum speed of 45 miles per hour, which inequality models all the speeds s at which Miguel's scooter can travel. Maximum speed, and again, the top speed's 45. Can it go 45.01? It can't. Can it go 46, 47? So none of these speeds on this side, they're all a no. But can the scooter be 44? Can it travel 44? Yes. 43, 42, at 10, at 5. Everything on this side is yes. So I'll put a line on 45. And if I were to graph the inequality, can it be 45? Yes, it can. What else can it be? It can be 44, 43. So it's like this, and it points that way. So the speed has to be compared to 45. What does the speed have to be? Well, it has to be less than 45 or even equal. So we are looking at A. 6, find all the values of x that will make x plus 3.5 is greater than 9. Well, so we want to see which of these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which of these 6 can I substitute in here to make the inequality true? But rather than go one by one and see if they work, we can just solve this. So if we solve this, we're going to, let me create a little wall here, division. Minus 3.5 on this side, minus 3.5. So these two become 0. So x has to be greater or equal to, and 9 minus 3.5 is 6.5. So any number that's greater or equal to 6.5 will make this inequality true. So we're looking for numbers that are greater or equal to 6.5. No. 5.5 is a no. 6 is a no. This is okay. That's greater than, this one is okay because it's greater than 6.5. 15 is okay because it's greater than 6.5. And what's 15 over 2? That's another way of saying 7.5. So that's okay. So these three values will make that inequality true. Number 3, Bruce bought 4 candy bars and 3 deck of cards. The candy bars cost 3.5 each. Well, 3.5, $1.35 each. So the candy bars, so it's $1.35 times 4. And that's 20, 14 goes 1. So he spent $5.40 on candy bars. I'm going to write candy bars. How much did he had? $12. So 12 minus 5.40 means that he had how much left over? Not $7, but $6.60. $6.60 left over. So assume that he had $12, bought the candy, spent $5.40, and now he has $6.60. So he doesn't want to spend more than 12, so that's the maximum. So he has $6.60 left over for the deck of cards. So each deck of card, so 3 times, and let me call D for deck of cards, at least you see. So he's going to buy 3 deck of cards, right? 3 deck of cards, and it has to be less or equal to 6.60, right? Because that's how much he has left over. He doesn't want to spend any more than 660. Divide this by 3, divide this by 3, and C is less or equal to, let me rewrite this. C is less or equal to 2.20. And each, so that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? 6, the cost of renting a boat is $20, so just to get to the boat, it's $20 plus $2.50 per hour, where X is the number of hours of the boat rental. Miles wants to spend less than $50 on the boat rental, which inequality models the situation. So you're going to pay $20 no matter what, plus $2.50 per hour H, or in this case they want us to use X. And all that we're going to spend has to be less than 50. Is there anything that looks like this? Well, not greater than 50, so that's gone. That's gone. So we're looking at these two. Less than 50. 20 plus 50x. So I'm looking at the Chris won at most 300 tickets, so the top number of tickets he won was 300. He spent 128 tickets on a ball and the rest on gum. Each gum was 25 tickets, which inequality can be used to determine the greatest number of pieces of gum. So he had 300 tickets, and he spent the tickets with buying these items. So what do we know? So he spent 120 tickets. So this ticket was the ball, right? So now plus this many tickets that he spent on gum will be less than 300 at most. So this has to be less than 300. So the one thing you can do is right away eliminate this one and this one, because that says greater than 300. Well, he doesn't have greater than 300 tickets. He has less or equal to 300. So 128 tickets were spent on a ball, and then 25 tickets on gum, per gum. So if he bought 25 tickets per gum. We don't know how many pieces he bought, but we could calculate that. But we're not looking for that. We're looking for this one, right? So that's the ball that he spent, 128 tickets, and then he's going to spend 25 tickets per each gum, and that all has to be less than 300. So that makes sense. That's this one. Number 8. Tim took a quiz that had 25 multiple choice questions. He received 1 point for every correct answer and lost 1/4 point for every incorrect answer. In order to pass the quiz, his total points need to be at least 17. The inequality shown below can be used to calculate X, the number of answers Tim can get incorrect and still pass the quiz, if he attempts all the questions. What is the maximum number of questions Tim can answer incorrectly and still pass the quiz? So we're going to have to solve this in order to find that out. So 25 minus X, and I'm going to put a little 1 here. And if you do this distributed properly, 1 times 25 is 25, 1 times minus X is minus X. So that removes the parentheses. Minus, instead of 1/4 X, I'm going to write 0.25X. Makes life a little bit easier. And all that has to be greater or equal to 17. I can combine like terms, which is these two guys over here. Let me put a 1 over here. So 25, and if you're doing this, just let me put that aside. It looks like this: 1x minus 0.25x. So if you forget the x for a second, this means 1 minus 0.25. And you can do that in your calculator, and that gets you 1.25, and let's put the x back. So minus 1.25x greater than 17. So now think of what you have to do. So if you want, those of you who still do the story, you have a variable x, which is being multiplied by negative 1.25. And we're adding 25 because that minus sign belongs to this guy over here, 125. So in front of 25, there's a plus, right? There's an invisible plus. So it's plus 25 greater or equal to 17. Using inverse operation, the first thing we're going to do, if that's plus 25, is minus 25. and then divide by negative 1.25. So let's do minus 25 here, which means I have to do minus 25 on this side. These two become 0. Negative 1.25x comes down, greater or equal, and 17 minus 25 is negative 8. Now we're going to divide, right? Look at your story. We're going to divide this by negative 1.25 and divide this side by negative 1.25. These two become positive, or just 1, and becomes x. And remember, when you're dividing by a negative, you have to switch the sign the other way, so it's going to be less or equal. And negative 8 divided by negative 125 is going to be a positive number. 8 divided by 1.25 is a 6, 6.4. 6.4. So now you can't, so the maximum number of questions that he can make a mistake on is 6 questions, right? Because you can't make a mistake on 6.4 questions. So this would be A. Number 10, number 8, or something. Technician, oh God. Technician earns $75 per hour working on computers. She has monthly business expenses of $800. Right, so every month she has to pay out $800. She loses $800 because she got to pay it. Her profits is the difference between her monthly earnings and her monthly business expenses. Which of the following inequalities can be used to find the number of hours X the technician will have to work on computers in a month to make a profit of more than $2,000? So the first thing I would do is, because I need to know that this is going to be greater than 2,000, right? More than 2,000, I can eliminate this guy because this says less, so that's gone. This one also says less, so that's gone. So either it's going to be either of these two, right? So remember, he makes $75 per hour, or 75 per X. So whatever he makes here has to obviously be whatever he makes here. So let's say he works 50 hours. So if he works 50 hours that particular month, and let's just, as an example, 75 times 50, he's going to make $3,750. And what do you do next? Well, you're going to subtract your expenses. In this case, your expenses are what? $800 every month, right? And that is going to, whatever's left over, he's going to figure out if it's greater than 2,000 or greater than 2,000, right? Because that's whatever it's left over after he's paying expenses. He obviously needs 2,000 to, I don't know, pay his bills, etc., right? It's like, I don't know, rent, food, and whatever else. So in this case, first we have to figure out, so the equation has to be this: $75 times the number of hours minus the $800 in expenses have to give him a profit of 2,000. So the other one that looks like that is this one, right? Because he's going to find out 75 times the number of hours, and he's going to make a certain amount of money, and then he's going to subtract 800, and he's going to see if the whatever left over is greater than 2,000. So this is the one that makes sense. 10, there is 115 Dave's bank account. He deposits 200 to the account each month. Dave needs at least 700 to buy a used car. The inequality below can be solved for X to find the number of deposits Dave must make to reach his goal. How many deposits must Dave make? Well, thankfully they already set it up for us. 200X plus 150 greater or equal to 700. This is pretty straightforward. Minus 150 minus 150. That becomes 0. So I got 200X greater or equal to 550. Divide by 200, divide by 200, X equals 2.5, no, 2.75, greater or equal to 2.75, sorry. So, and we have something that looks like that. So he needs to make, obviously, you can't do 2.75 deposits, so he'll probably end up making at least 3 deposits to reach that goal. Which inequality, which graph below shows the solution? Okay, so again, we have to solve this. So let's do the distributive property, and you get 4x. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12, greater than x plus 3. Let's take, now there's a variable on each side, so I'm going to remove one of those x's. Minus x here, minus x here. 4x minus x is 3x. Minus 12 greater or equal to, this crosses out to 3. Plus 12 here, plus 12 on the other side. And I'm going to get 3x, this cancels out, greater or equal to 15. Divide both sides by 3. And x is greater or equal to 5. So is there one that looks like that? Greater or equal, so it definitely has to point that way. The number in question is 5. We're going to shade the 5 and point it that way. So it's D. Same thing here. 12 minus 4x less or equal to 20. So first thing we do, and again, I'll do a story here. My variable is x. It's being multiplied by negative 4. And then plus 12. Inverse operation would be minus 12 first and divide by negative 4. So those are the steps I'm doing. So minus 12 here. Let me draw a little minus 12 over here. So negative 4x, because these two go to 0. 20 minus 12 is 8. Divide by negative 4, right? It says divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. And x is greater or equal, and again, I switch signs because I'm dividing by a negative to negative 2. Is there anyone that looks like that? So 2 and points that way. Good. That's B. Again, same thing, I guess, we're practicing inequalities. 5 minus x less or equal to 8. So we're going to do, again, here's a story. My variable is x. I'm going to put a 1 here, and it's being multiplied by negative 1. And then plus 5 less or equal to 8. Inverse operation is minus 8 for, and then divide by negative 1. So let's do, well, not minus 8, minus 5. So let's do minus 5. Minus 5. Minus 5. Put a little wall here. This becomes 0, so this is negative 1x, and there's a reason I'm putting the negative 1 there. Less or equal to negative 3, right? I can't have a negative x here. So I'm going to, and this says divide by negative 1. And I think it's clearer if you put a negative 1 there so that you can see. So divide that side by negative 1, divide that side by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is just 1 positive, and 1 positive times x is just x. Because I divided by a negative number, this will go to the other way. And negative 3 divided by negative 1 is 3, sorry. Is there any, oh, right here, A. That's a 3, shaded, and it's pointing that way. Again, the same thing, very repetitive, this one. So distributive property, and make sure there's a 1 here. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4, and greater or equal to negative 7. So again, very similar to the previous problem. So we're going to do plus 4 on this side. I'm going to get negative 1x greater than negative 3, negative 7 plus 4. Now, if that was positive x, I wouldn't put the negative 1. I'm just showing this so that you know. Now I have to divide this by negative 1 and divide this by negative 1. So these two negatives become positive, and x is going to be less or equal to, switch signs because you divided by a negative, and negative 3 divided by negative 1 is 3. So we're looking for something that starts on 3, it's shaded and points that way. So we're looking at C. Last one. Callie correctly concluded that the solution to the, so this lady thinks that the solution is n greater than 20. Is it correct? Well, it's already telling us it's incorrect. Why is it incorrect? Well, first thing that you can, without doing any of this, you can look at this, that this is a negative coefficient, right? There's a negative 2 there. So eventually when you're doing the work, you're going to be dividing by negative 2 on this side and dividing by negative 2 on the other side. So you know that this sign will be flipped this way. Okay, so without even doing, I know that n is going to be with something with a less or equal sign and whatever number this is. So let's look for something. What mistake did she make? Is there a mistake that says that she forgot to flip the sign? When Callie divided by negative 2, the sign of the answer should have been negative. No, when Callie divided by -2, she should have changed the equality sign to this. And this is exactly what we were talking about. Right? She should have changed this sign and pointed to the left. And that I know because this one is a negative coefficient. Okay? And that's, I think, it's it for this one. What is this, day 7?